This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network, and the following program is brought to you by the Verdoliak Law Group, fighting insurance companies since 1963, and TickSplits.com. TickSplits.com, no service fees. The price you see is the price you pay.
This is the Bears Barroom Radio Network. The following program is recorded live and intended for all audiences.
Trubisky's not a loser. And me coming over to Trubisky, here's what I'm going to tell the people. To say, oh, it's about time you came over, and I knew it all along. You're all morons who love Cutler. A guy that dresses up like Mike Ditka before a game, that's probably what turned to me that he understands the tradition of the Bears. If Jay Cutler would have been everything this guy is, he would have probably gone to the playoffs 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And I fully expect Trubisky to keep getting better because he gives a damn. And I think that's 90% of the bad. Don't you like when I just shut people down and I make a reasonable argument? That's what debate's all about. That's what it's all about. I hate that song. The hokey pokey sucks. Let's just go on. Put your left foot in. I don't like nobody telling me what to do when I'm dancing. You put your left foot in. I'm going. Nagy understands the division. Wannstedt, Tressman, Fox. They wouldn't understand Bear tradition if it hit them in the ass. So Matt Nagy has instilled that into the players, and I love it. This Trubisky kid with Nagy is the right marriage, and I'm going to give Ryan Pace and everybody from Ted Phillips on down a little pat on the back.
You're listening to the Mike North Advantage, and it begins right now.
That's right, the Mike North Advantage starts right now. I am Aldo Gandia, Mike's wingman, and welcome to this Monday night edition of the Mike North Advantage, the first of many we will have for you. More on that later. We will, of course, talk about the heartbreaking loss the Bears suffered Sunday to the Philadelphia Eagles. We'll hear from players like Kyle Long and Adrian Amos. We'll find out how Mike did in his predictions and more. Mike North, how are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm great, Aldo. Thanks for everything. Thanks for putting me up against the national championship game. Appreciate it. There's only one man that can handle this test, and you know it's me. You said, you know what? You're going to jump into a volcano and come out cool breeze. That's what I'm doing, my friend. How are you?
I am well. I have recovered a little bit from yesterday's heartbreaking loss. How did you take that loss?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Chicago Bears for bringing my passion back about the Chicago Bears. As a gambler and as a pro gambler and as a guy that went 2-2 last week, this past weekend, I was happy with the results. I was 3-1 because I did change one of my picks, which I very rarely do, from the Bear Barroom pick. I saw that all three of us, like you had mentioned, had taken the Ravens, so I took San Diego and put a ton on them. Everything worked out. I'll be honest with you. I'm starting to come around again. I think that it played out exactly like I said it was going to play out. I love today how, the name of Bartman's coming up. I love today how people are complaining about the way that Parkey's being treated. This is all stuff I predicted Friday, folks. Nobody else predicted it. I told Aldo he's either going to be a folk hero or he's going to be Bartman. And he became Bartman. Yeah. The only thing I said, and the only thing I'm against, is the death threat stuff. All that BS, which, nobody tells somebody when they're going to kill them anyway, so you try not to take them seriously, but they're still hurtful words. Yes. But as far as saying, you know what, the kid crapped the bed, he crapped the bed, he's been doing it all year. And it wasn't yesterday's kick that was the thing that got everybody mad. It was the 6, 7, 8 kicks this year that he's missed. And if he makes a couple of them, maybe we're playing and we got a first-round bye instead of playing yesterday. So I think it was the frustration of the whole season with him, and it just was the cherry on the sundae, what happened yesterday.
Mike, I want you to listen to Rex Ryan, the former head coach of New York Jets, Buffalo Bills, and so forth, defensive guru, the son of Buddy Ryan. This is what he said about Cody Parkey, and then I want to ask you a question.
It comes down to one play, and every coaches will always be like, well, it's not just that one play. Yes, it is. You have a job to do. You got to make that kick. And the fact you didn't, I don't feel sorry for him. A lot of people, I feel sorry for that kid. Really? How about feeling sorry for his teammates and everybody else, the fan base and everybody else you let down? I'm sorry. This guy doesn't prepare. They don't do meetings. They don't do anything. You make a kick. And in that situation, you got to sit back. That's why you're a professional. It's like a golfer missing a 4-foot putt.
Yep.
If you're a pro, you make it, and that's what this kid's got to do. I don't feel sorry for him. Maybe that's me.
That was on the Mike Greenberg show on ESPN, and I have to ask you, Mike, do you feel sorry for Cody Parkey?
I heard it live. What he said about Parkey, I'm with him. I heard Ron Jaworski say the same thing today. But, Ron Jaworski's a Philadelphia guy, so you can take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But I agree with him on that. What I didn't agree with him, because I do my homework, Aldo knows, dawn to dusk. I was up this morning. He said he didn't think the Bears' defense was dominant. Are you kidding me? What were you watching this year? They were as dominant as you can be for the type of rules that they have now in the National Football League. Look, I thought the Bears played great. I agree with them on the kicker. I told you before the game, the one thing that I thought was going to happen, and I'm going to break this down for people as much as I can. I said that if he made the first two, right, Raldo, that he'd make them all. He made the first two. Then the coach calls a timeout, and he kicks it. Now, last week, I saw a college kicker, when they tried to freeze him on a timeout, go to kick it, and he missed the ball. He didn't waste it. Now, maybe Parkey figured it's good to see. He saw one go through. To me, the pressure was more on him to make the second one in a row. After during practice, he puts it right through the middle. And instead, 24 hours later, we're hearing that it was tipped. No, it wasn't blocked, folks. It was maybe nicked with a fingernail. Because if it took you 20 hours to get clarification about a block, it wasn't a block. It was like a slight tip in baseball. Period. End of story.
That is something. Hey, I was on your radio show this morning, the movie show, for a few minutes, and I heard Curtis, your producer, tell you that there are stories on the internet now that Cody Parkey used to practice in his backyard or at a neighborhood lot or something, hitting the goalpost for accuracy. Can you believe this? You can't script this thing.
Well, what it was what he had was three goalposts. He had the two ends, the two goalposts on the end, and one in the middle. So he would concentrate. That it was custom made. He would concentrate on hitting the one in the middle. Now, I'm also going to say this: we don't know if he would have made the field goal even if it hit. You know how much that kick was blocked. If it took you 18 hours to decipher the tape, it got a fingernail on it. And I talked to a guy today that told me he knew a guy that kicked in high school. Now, that doesn't mean anything. And he knows soccer players. There's people that think that ball was going to go to the left anyway. I happen to think he would have made it. I don't know how you can make that determination. Bottom line is, it doesn't matter. They lost. It was him at the end and the special teams field goal unit, period, end of story.
Doug Peterson calls that timeout to freeze him, and Cody said, I heard the whistle, but I decided to kick it anyway, and he makes it. Now he lines up knowing that he's not going to call a timeout again, and I think he got nervous and pulled the ball.
I do too. I mean, I'm hearing people on Twitter going, well, now, how does it change your mind that it was blocked? If it took you 18 hours, you morons, to figure out if it was blocked or not, it wasn't. I mean, it's the most insane thing. Look, here's what I'm going to tell everybody. I was the first guy when Robbie Gould got released. And you know what I heard from Bear fans? You know what I heard from most of the Bear media? He's in a slump. He needed to go. He needs a change of scenery. How's that working? And I want to know this. Why can't we cut this kid, even if he is guaranteed? That's $1 billion organization, and Robbie Gould's going to be a free agent. And somebody said on Twitter, I don't want to hear Robbie Gould's name. So you're the guy that invites the guy who throws up at your party every time you have one? You're the guy that puts him on the guest list again. You want to see the same vomit bucket next year, you moron.
But I like
My
the guy.
God. Cody Parkey should not be on the team next year. But here's the deal. He's got a contract, right?
Yeah, he does.
If this was the last year of his contract, is he back next year?
No.
No. It's the same old Bears. You're worried about $9 million when you got $1 billion organization, and you lost your game. And you know what? I heard from 4 players today that felt bad for Cody Parkey. You know who I didn't hear from? The other 48. You don't hear from any of them because I've been in plenty of locker rooms.
Yep.
And half the guys in that locker room right now, they won't tell you in public. They don't want him back next year either.
No, I don't think anybody. I think they all, I think half of them.
They play the media game.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all one. We're all this. We're all that. Go scratch. You're all one.
Lots of activity in the chat room, and Shane, who was in the chat room, says
I love Shane. Allen Robinson, big day for my guys yesterday.
Yeah.
And you know what? He probably wasn't healthy at the beginning of the season, got hurt favoring that knee a little bit more. But you know what? Something to look forward to next year because he came up big yesterday.
There you go. We're going to talk about A-Rob in a second, but one last thought about Cody Parkey. Shane says that Jay Feely, who I guess is a former kicker in the NFL, yes, I remember he was a former kicker, he said today that even with it's blocked on Parkey, it's because Parkey didn't have the ball up high enough. And I agree with that. The trajectory was wrong.
Listen, can I tell you my favorite story about Chicago Bear brass and Chicago Bear fans and Chicago Bear media and the ball washers out there? Can I tell you a story?
Yeah.
There's people that think I lost the deal with Janikowski and Urlacher, right? Mm-hmm. Janikowski almost won the game for Seattle the other day, and he kicked a 57-yarder, and he's 41 years old. He was drafted in 2000. He's been playing 6 years longer while Urlacher's been getting hair transplants. If the Bears would have taken him in 2000, they would not have had, 2000 he was drafted, they wouldn't have had a kicking problem for 18 years. He'd still be going.
They would have had a drinking problem, but that's another story.
Hey, he drank in my basement. It was awesome. He almost drank the whole cooler dry. God bless him. He looks good, though. He looks good. I watched him. I'm so proud to see Bass. I wish he was on the Bears.
Yes.
Well, my God. And you're right. He gets height out of the ball. That it's the trajectory.
Yes. I love that
word. That's right. Shane's absolutely right, and so is Feely.
Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned Allen Robinson. He set a Bears record for receiving yards in a playoff game. He had 10 catches for 143 yards, a touchdown. Wow. He was targeted 13 times, so he basically caught everything that was thrown at him. And he was asked in the locker room today when they were clearing things out if that made him feel a little better.
Yeah, always. It's tough, it's very tough, because at the end of the day, even last night, thinking when I got home, it's like, okay, I have literally no idea what I'm about to do, so I'm not even thinking about it at all, so it is tough, again, you don't really, it's hard to enjoy those things at all, when you're not coming out on top.
Yeah, I set that up incorrectly. He basically said, is it difficult to enjoy that record? He said it is definitely difficult because he didn't even know what he was going to do today because everyone in that locker room felt like they were going to win that game. So sad.
Well, here's another thing about him, and I've been saying all year. The thing that's impressed me, forget about the over 100-yard day. That's important, and that's hopefully what we'll see more of next year, and he can stay healthy. It was his hands. Mm-hmm. He caught everything thrown to him. The same goes for Taylor Gabriel. The same goes for all the other receivers on the team. I thought that their wide receivers, and I said this, the wide receivers are going to have to carry the load. They ended up carrying the load. But I said, you know what? It's almost like I saw this game before I did the show Friday. Mm-hmm. Because I also said, our defense is too dominant. Remember, people were saying the defense is too dominant. I go, well, what happens if we lose 10-7? We don't score no points. That's exactly what happened. Mm-hmm. We score 15 points, which means, you know what? I don't care what Trubisky's stats were. I don't care what they were. You got to put more than 15 points up, son. Period. End of story. And you know what? He had a decent game, but I'm not happy with any quarterback in this day and age that has a total of 15 points up. I'm not.
Well, and this is what Allen Robinson said about Mitch Trubisky after the game and about his growth and progress, and in particular that play of Trubisky in the fourth quarter.
For down the stretch, just seeing how he stayed calm, how he stayed poised, a lot of stuff that we had practiced and went over, maybe checks or anything like that. He was able to get to that. The game he didn't get overwhelmed at any point in time. He made some big throws down the stretch. We were able to make some big plays. I think that says a lot for a second-year guy. And just that's a true testament to everything. He came into this year with a new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new receivers, new tight end. He came here with a lot of different stuff. So to be able to compartmentalize all of that, and have as good a year as he did. I think that's big.
When you look at it that way, Mike North, the fact that he had all these new things thrown at him, it was a pretty impressive sophomore season for Mitch Trubisky. Would you not agree?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love him.
And the intangible that a lot of people don't see, but you noticed, and we have a bit of that in the show open, is that he's a leader. He's dressing up like Ditka and firing up his players, and just the way he conducts himself. That may not have been worth any points yesterday's game, but down the line, that leadership quality is going to be worth a lot more, don't you think?
Yeah, and I think he was a little hurt yesterday. I think he got dinged early.
That heel.
I think that he stayed in the game. He went into the tent. You don't go into the tent unless there's a soft drink machine in there or something, some potato chips. I'd have a buffet in there. Hey, there's a concussion take. There's a concussion tent. There goes Trubisky in there. What do you think, Mitch? I'm all right. Have a sandwich. Anyway, the bottom line is this, though.
In the old days, you would have had a bar in there.
Absolutely, a little bar on wheels. I got to tell you this. I said this on Friday. I keep going back to Friday because, like you told me on my show earlier today, it seems like I pegged this whole game. I said if he ran for 50 yards, they'd win the game. He ran for 9. He had 3 carries for 9 yards. But here's what pissed me off. There were 2 other times he had a wide open field, twice. And he could have gotten 15 to 20 yards on each run. He threw the ball once almost for an interception in the middle of the end zone and threw the ball out of bounds on another one. And here's what I understand. I know you're hurt, but now's not the time to pretend you're Jay Cutler and throw the ball before you get to the line of scrimmage into 3 guys. He should have run more yesterday. I don't know what happened. And if Tariq Cohen wasn't going to run, between Trubisky and Cohen, they ran 4 times yesterday. You're not going to win many football games like that, folks. You're not. They needed to get the ball to Cohen more, who had 3 catches for 27 yards. Man, I just retain his knowledge, don't I? But the Trubisky thing, and Aldo heard me. If he doesn't get 50 yards, we're losing. 9 yards for Mitch Trubisky, he's got to run. You got to run for more than that, son, in a big ball game, period.
Yeah. There was something, and I've been harping on fans, don't be too critical of head coach Matt Nagy with his decision-making, but clearly there were some issues there. I mean, Tariq Cohen only getting 1 carry, 4 targets, 4 times he touched the ball.
I love Matt Nagy, but they scored 6 points in the first half.
Yeah.
So Allen Robinson can talk about Trubisky all he wants. I want points on the board.
Yep.
You can look at stats, 10 for 124. Trubisky was good at the end. We lost the game. And our offense did not help our defense. And our defense, what do? They missing tackles on the final drive. 6 for 9 for the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles, Nick Foles, for 59 yards. And they get an out on a 4. They do a 4-yard out, and the defender is behind the receiver in the end zone. You got to be kidding me.
Yeah. And there were
God, am I breaking this down? I hope I'm not depressing everybody.
You are depressing me.
I'm just trying to say, what can I do? You think I slept last night? I had one eye open.
Well, that's what I want to know, Mike. How badly did you take this loss? I mean, from a gambler standpoint, you were happy. You made the right prediction. Yeah. But as a Chicago Bears fan, I mean, you were at the 1963 NFL Championship game at Wrigley Field, Chicago Bears versus Giants.
We bailed these guys out. We bailed them out. We bailed Philadelphia out. We're the first. I mean, I saw something today where the Bears are one of 3 teams to give up this or give that, and they're the first team out of those 3 not to make it to the Super Bowl. So I'm going to myself. One was the 85 Bears, one was the Ravens. I forget what the thing was about. We were supposed to win that game yesterday. Yeah. And Nagy, I hate to say this, but Andy Reid, your mentor, at least in the playoffs. Because the last 2 playoffs, last year and this year, where he was calling the plays for the most part, I know people are going to say Reid called a lot of the plays in the playoff game. Doesn't matter. His last 2 playoff games have been horrid. Period. End of story. So he's got to come back next year, too. 12-4, though, baby. We got something to build on. Yes. And I'm feeling like it's the 84 Bears, maybe the 83 Bears. They're right there. And you cannot dress Eddie Jackson and not play him. That's another stupid decision. What were you trying to do? show him that he could have played. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, there were some odd decisions, and again, you know, I there are a lot of people.
You actually put a guy in uniform that can't play for a healthy body. Are you serious?
Yeah, and he Nagy said, well, we had an extra spot because of the Trey Burton. You know,
don't even get me started.
You could have given it to Javon Wims, a great vertical wide receiver, and it was the vertical passing game that was working. Williams would have been perfect for yesterday's game.
I agree with you. To anybody, you don't trust a guy that should be inactive. What are you rewarding him? Or you could stand on the sidelines and they'll take a couple shots of you from the camera. You put an able body in there, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the mistake. The Bears still have some issues.
Mm-hmm.
They had a breakout year, but from some play calling to some personnel decisions to Trey Burton to this whole nonsense, they got some issues.
And again, I respect a lot of people in the Chicago sports media, but why didn't they ask Nagy yesterday about the Eddie Jackson thing? Why didn't they ask about why Jordan Howard was so vastly underused in a playoff game in January at Soldier Field when you need to run the ball?
Most of them don't know, because most of them aren't that savvy on football. They aren't. They go to the games, they're talking, they're eating chips, they're typing up their stuff. But they're in the press box, they're fans, but they're not cheering, but, they're talking and, bandying about it. They're in a glass enclosed case. I mean, to me, the Bear media is the weakest media in football, period.
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of games on Sirius when I'm in the car, like the Miami Dolphins, for instance. Their announcers, this was unbelievable. Jim Cephalo, I think, I don't know who these guys are. Just like three guys, ripping them to pieces. The home announcers. You don't hear that here.
You don't?
You don't hear any criticism.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I would the question I would have asked Nagy is, did you bring some of your Kansas City bad luck over from the playoffs there? That's the first. And I probably would have been. And the other writers would have looked at me like, oh, quit it, Mike. The pansies.
Those are the Mike North questions that we need to hear at press conferences.
Was voted number 2 on Twitter by many, many people as the second best, which is great to go to because we tell the God-blessed truth.
I love it. All right, Zeke
I
Robles.
seem a little upset to you.
No, you sound a little bitter, maybe. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not bitter. What I am is I'm pissed off because it just seems like, and then you always got the fans. This is a special year. Stick it up your rear end. Kidding me, a special year. We should have won that game.
This is Mike North at prime time.
PC.
PC prime time, Mike North.
How about Trey Burton? How come somebody don't question him? What was he doing? Wrestling in the hotel room?
I'm just going to ask you
Christ.
that.
All of a sudden, the guy's healthy. All of a sudden, he goes, I pulled a groin muscle. It locked up. What is it, a vault? It locked up.
Well, there's speculation.
What are you talking about?
I don't know if you've heard this, Mike, but I want your take on this. And Zeke Robles in the chat room wanted me to ask you this. There's speculation that Trey Burton might have had an issue with his anxiety disorder, something that he's admitted to having, and that the anxiety is what made his body close, as he put it, close up on him. He said that he didn't.
Oh, my God.
He said that he didn't
what a disaster. I had said on the show Friday, the most important guy on the team. In fact, it was asked on Twitter, who's going to be the most important guy? Is it going to be Taylor Gabriel? This is a Bears Barroom Twitter question. Taylor Gabriel, Allen Robinson, or Trey Burton? I said easily Trey Burton. And then he locked up, and all I could think of was the show Branded. What do you do when you're branded? It was about a coward, okay? That was a Union soldier. Am I right, Aldo? You remember that show?
Yes, I remember, yeah.
He locked up. My God.
Oh, okay.
The biggest game of the year. and the guy doesn't show up. And we don't know and did the training staff say anything? Did anybody talk to the training staff about it?
No, I think that
there are so many open holes the media just ignores. It is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I do have to, and doggone it, I forgot the name of the report. I think it was Dan Wiederwer who did ask Trey Burton specifically, did you miss yesterday's game because of your anxiety disorder? And Trey's response was basically, I don't think so.
I don't think so. And what happened to no? What happened to no? I don't think so. So that means there's a benefit. There's some doubt in his head. Look, anxiety, I've had it. It's scary.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's scary. I understand. I never had it for a big ball game, ever.
And you've had
I have, sleeping issues. I wake up in the middle of the night.
Right.
I got energy. That kind of thing. For a championship game, a playoff game, you lock up. He's a mental case. What can I tell you?
And Mike, it is something that has to be carefully managed, and that is my concern. If Trey Burton does have this issue, then he needs to get help to help him manage that because there's so many people relying on him. And
how do we know that he wasn't out running around and he slipped on the pavement or something?
We don't know.
How do we know that he wasn't? We don't. This is unbelievable. An unexplained phantom injury. No contact, nothing. And everybody just goes, that's all right, don't worry about it. We'll play Shaheen. He was one of our biggest players this year offensively. I had told you about 3 weeks ago, we hardly even talk about the guy. I said, we got to start talking about Trey Burton more. Well, we are now.
I wish I could.
I didn't think we'd be talking about him not showing up.
I wish I could read some of the things in the chat room, but they're, I don't know if our sponsors would like that. I don't know if the Verdoliak Law Group would say, hey.
Well, tell me what they're saying.
All right, well, Harp4803 says, perhaps that Trey Burton was at the strip club with his Philly buddies and the Philly special anxiety issue commenced.
Let me tell you exactly what I'm going to tell him. That could have happened. If you're telling me players don't run on Saturday night, especially they stay in a hotel on Saturday night. The Bears don't stay at home.
No, that's right. They stay at the Hilton, right?
Where's the Hilton?
The Hilton on 900 South Michigan.
And how many restaurants and bars are within 3 miles of the Hilton?
I can tell you there's 3 strip clubs in that area.
My God. And everybody
told me
won't even pressure them. They're so cowardly in this town. They're afraid of pissing the Bear brass off and somebody losing their press pass. It's unbelievable.
All right, so ND.
The highlight of the date was Butkus kicking the hat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. Okay, so I'm not going to read what NDIFF says about Trey Burton. Maybe I should. Okay, maybe he writes, Trey Burton hurt his groin rubbing one out.
Maybe. It's happened to me. It's terrible. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. I'm going to bring back, the leg stiffens up. I got to tell you, last week we had fun. I was talking about old street gangs. Imagine the Blackstone Rangers back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
The Latin Kings.
Uh-huh.
The Gaylords. I'll name them all.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I'll name them all. Imagine a guy coming, getting ready for a gang fight going, my groin's locked up. You know what happens to him with the rest of the boys? He's ridiculed in the coming. We don't care if your groin's locked up. You've been with us in all our other gang fights. Now you're going to bail out in the most important one? Give me a break.
Are you sure it's your groin, Jose, or is it something?
Here's what I'm going to tell you. I have no respect for Trey Burton right now. I don't like whips, period.
Well, maybe we should need to get him on the show so he can share his side of the story and you can grill him and so forth. Because
I'm sure that would go over great. Make sure there's not a place he can hang up. You know what? Like I always said, I'll interview anybody. I'll never forget people come. Trace Armstrong. Somebody says to me, you should go to the locker room. I go to the locker room. I would almost always get in a fight with one of the players, whether it was Albert Bell or one of the Bears or something. And then I started saying to myself, wait a minute. I'm not the one with the problem. They are. If they're mad at me, let them come to the studio.
Right.
Screw them.
Yeah.
screw them.
I agree with
you
that.
know. So,
hey, Mike, out of all the players that wanted to kick your butt, which one were you like most afraid of and said, yeah, maybe I should stay away from that guy?
Alonzo Spellman.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Let me tell you a story, man. This is great. We did a show at Jordan's. The day after, me and Jiggis did a show at Michael Jordan's restaurant. The day after he retired. He threw the pitch out at Sox Toronto. We did a show the next day. It was me, Jiggis, and Alonzo Spellman came over. And he was on with us for about an hour. Nicest guy in the world. But let me tell everybody his story. I told Jiggis, I said, Jiggs, I go, there's something not right about Alonzo, man. He goes, what are you talking about, Mike? I go, man, he's got an edge to him. He's like he's walking on a tight wire. He's all right. And we did the show, and the line, we'd get him laughing and everything. 2 years later, he's walking down Highway 22 naked with a dagger in his hand.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was the scariest human being.
Yeah, he was.
I have ever come across. I'm going to tell you this right now.
Mm-hmm.
Alonzo Spellman, when he dyed the hair gray, okay, and I always said that Mike Tyson, I met Mike Tyson, he looked me in the eye, and I said, boy, that guy could intimidate anybody. I'm going to tell you this. Alonzo Spellman in his prime was nothing but a built, well-oiled machine whose head was wacky. But he could have stared Tyson back down, too. Believe me when I tell you this.
I believe
he was a bad hombre, man. He was about 6'6", I think, at the time. He was cut.
Yeah.
He made Leonard Floyd look undernourished.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Leonard Floyd is a pretty put together
Yeah,
kid.
he's cut too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you there about Alonzo just being
he was
really...
unbelievable. And then he almost took a plane down.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Listen, I couldn't even imagine. I really felt for these people. He's on a plane with 100 people, and he gets up and starts screaming that the plane's going to crash, and he starts to rush towards the door. Are you kidding me? I would have had a stroke right there.
Yep. He had some borderline personality disorder problem or some mental health issue. Yes, I think.
My guy, if I needed to pick up money, I wanted him with me. Somebody's delinquent, bring Alonzo Spellman. Don't open the bank.
All right. I
pulled that Alonzo Spellman out of my... You got to be amazed. You asked me a question. I knew right away, didn't I?
You did.
I said, and then when I saw when he walked down naked down Highway 22, escaped the hospital, I said, I had this guy pegged from the beginning. He barricaded himself in his agent's house, and then Mike Singletary had to come and try to bail him out. Oh.
Hey, Mike.
That's football. It's fun, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. Hey, Mike, if you were ever to write an autobiography, would these stories be in that autobiography?
Not really. That's another book. But if you're doing an autobiography, well, yeah, I'm sure there'll be certain, like if I wrote an autobiography, first of all, I don't know if there's a decent writer out there that can do it. Second of all, I got to tell you something.
Inside joke.
There's always stories. I like to tell stories, and they're true. That's the beauty of it. They're all true. And, boy, the Spellman one, I mean, to this day, I've never met a more intimidating human being in my life.
Oh, my goodness.
I mean,
yes.
I met Muhammad Ali. And, my wife loves Muhammad Ali. We met him at Wrigley Field. We talked a little bit.
That must have been great.
Yeah, it was hard for me to say I wanted Frazier to beat him, but he understood.
I think a lot of people wanted Frazier to shut him up.
Well, Ed Kelly was a good friend of his, and I knew him through Ed Kelly, too, and I met him saw him at the ball game at Wrigley Field. And Ed Kelly was a big boxing guy for the Chicago Park District, and he brought in guys like Tony Zale. And I told him, I said, I got to be honest with you, I wasn't always the biggest fan, but my wife loves you. He goes, I mean, you weren't the biggest fan. I said, I wanted Frazier to kick your ass. At least he did it once. He started laughing. He goes, it's the greatest who ever lived. Because he was a little shaky at the time. Good guy. Good guy.
That's a great story, Mike. Thank you for sharing that. All right, I got a couple of sound bites more that I want to play for you.
But this show's going fast. We've already did a half an hour.
I know.
I've only been screaming for like 22 of the 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I like this prime time. I'm energized. It's not like 9 in the morning. You're asking me tough questions.
Who was it in the chat room? I think it was Ashley who wondered if you were drinking coffee at 7 o'clock at night because you were so
Ashley,
wired.
I'm still wired. I'm still wired right now. That's why, I stay up at night and watch they got the Sopranos marathon right now. It's been on HBO all week. It's so good. Such great writing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Gandolfini dying at 51 was just tragic. Because I think the worst ending of all time, which was theirs, I think they left that open-ended because I truly believe they were going to make a movie.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that.
Yep.
That if the money would have been there, they definitely would have got everybody together.
Oh, they were going to make a movie. I mean, look, Sex and the City came back and made 2 movies and made nothing but money, and it was just an okay show. My wife liked it. Yeah. It was a chick show. I sort of liked it. I'll admit it. I like Sarah Jessica Parker. I loved the one girl, Nixon. No, not Nixon. Who's the girl with the black hair?
I know you didn't like her. What was her name? She was
Kristen Davis.
Okay, yes. Oh, gosh, gorgeous.
Beautiful. I love her.
Yes, gorgeous. Hey,
Yeah,
I got a question.
They made money, and I figured The Sopranos was going to do the same thing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Shane says that Dan Pompei wrote today that the fans that booed Cody Parkey as he left the field are classless, and he wants to know your thoughts on that take from Dan Pompei.
He wants to know my thoughts, Danny asked?
No, Shane wants to know what your thoughts are on Dan Pompei calling those fans who booed Cody Parkey classless.
Here's what I'll say to my buddy Dan Pompei, who I love. I love Danny. Danny and I lived on the same block in Park Ridge for 20 years.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah, he lived in the next block. I lived down the block from him. Mm-hmm. I love Danny. I love him very much. But the fact is, those fans pay money, and I don't think Danny's paid money to get into a football game for 15, 20 years. Believe me, if I win, I wouldn't pay either. Media guys get in for free. At least and Dan Pompei is one of the best. So I would imagine that he gets in for free. He has a great pass. He should. He's an accomplished NFL writer. But I think, like Mike Golick said this morning, it's always dangerous to tell the fans what they can and cannot do. Booing's fine. Death threats aren't fine, and throwing stuff at players aren't fine. But they booed him, and I heard it. And you know what? As he was running off the field, they were interviewing an Eagle player, and you could hear it in the background. And I said, it's deserved. It's deserved. It wasn't the one game, Aldo. It was out of everything that worked right, there was one thing that didn't work, and it was the kicker.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, there were
I don't feel bad about booing. Just boo him, though, and leave the guy alone and his family. But Danny could say it was classless, but to sit on your hands and not show emotion means you don't care.
Right. There were other issues why the Chicago Bears team lost. So, but here's the thing that I think a lot of people don't fully realize about what a kicker means for an NFL team.
Oh.
It means winning the game because so many times you're kicking for the winning points. And I
hear Howie Long and Terry Bradshaw. These guys treat kickers like crap.
Yes.
They've won more titles for teams. Adam Vinatieri. Is Howie Long going to say, "Oh, kickers are soft"? Go tell Adam Vinatieri he's soft.
Exactly.
Are you kidding me?
Yep.
He's one of the greatest kickers of all time. I said somebody says to me, "Well, Sebastian Janikowski has only been in one Pro Bowl."
Mm-hmm.
I said, and Urlacher's been in like 5 or 6. I go, "You're a dope." They picked 10 linebackers. They picked one kicker. Period.
Yeah.
So when you're in the top 3 in kickers, you're as important as any in the top 10. You're as important as any player on that team, from kicking it into the end zone to extra points, who a lot of teams missed this year, to kicking long field goals.
Yep. All right, I want to do a little game with you.
It's hard to come back after a solid explanation like that, isn't it?
Well, I'm just stunned at your brilliance.
Clemson's beating Alabama 14-7 with 10:35 left.
Well, tell us who you
in the first quarter, which means it'll be Alabama 60, Clemson 50.
That's right. Tell us who your money was on this game, because I know you got a nickel.
I took Alabama tonight.
Okay. What was the spread?
I took Alabama, and I took minus the 5.5, and I took the money line. And you know what? If anybody could end Alabama's streak, because I'm okay in college, but I'm a pro guy, as you know. But if anybody could end Alabama's streak, it's me.
Mm-hmm. Hey, I want to do a little exercise here.
Mm-hmm.
There are, I'm sorry, I'm bad at transitions.
I love when you do that.
There are 15 players who are unrestricted free agents for the Chicago Bears. I want to go through some of the names here and ask you whether they should.
Go ahead.
Now, I do want to start with Adrian Amos, who said this about his contract status. He is an unrestricted free agent, and what he thought about that whole situation. This is what Adrian said, who is a friend of Bears Barroom.
I mean, yeah, it's always in the back of your mind, and then more to the forefront as these days go on. You know, you're talking to the coaches, talking to, you know, upstairs, your agent, you know what I'm saying? But really, it's nothing in my hands anymore.
It is totally out of his hands. He's delegated that to his agent, and now it's up to the Chicago Bears. Do they really want him? Do they want him to test free agency to see how much he can get and so forth? So it's a very tricky situation. So let's start with Adrian Amos, who is the strong safety of the team. He's had some excellent games with the Chicago Bears. He's also had some games where he missed tackles, which is supposed to be his specialty. He's not a turnover machine, although he did have a big interception in yesterday's wild card playoff game. Do you, and forget about the money and the salary cap and stuff, because these guys can always magically make things happen. Do you bring back Adrian Amos?
Yes. The only thing I would advise Adrian, he did copy my tweet when he was, I guess he was critical of some of the fans in the media on Parkey.
Uh-huh.
I said, and he copied, he retweeted my tweet. So he saw it. I said, you want a long career here, don't start telling the fans what to do or the media.
Oh, interesting.
That's basically it.
Interesting. Amos is a great guy, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he is a great guy, and I want him back.
Yeah,
I just would say, if I'm you know, fans don't want to hear players 5 minutes after they lose telling fans, wait a minute, you guys are supposed to be as down as we are.
Yes.
Why are you telling us to take it easy?
Yes.
You should be as downtrodden as any. You shouldn't have any energy to get on somebody else that's being critical.
Oh, Mike, on last night's show, Bears on Tap, I started the show with tears coming down my eyes. And I really didn't want to do the show, but at the same time, I felt maybe it's cathartic, and it was at the end. But this one here is the most cathartic show I could ever do.
Want to do the show?
Because I was so sad. I was so.
Vietnam? I can't do the show. There was never a show that I didn't do. I don't care what the circumstance. You guys, what are you, 11? Well, we go to the kids' table, all you guys?
Now,
I heard Dr. Phil say the same thing. The show must go on.
Phil has never missed the show on Bears Barroom. It's unbelievable. Now, but let me ask you this. Out of the thousands. I know he has it,
but he was very downtrodden. He says it's going to be hard to work tonight. No, these are the days you need to work.
Yeah, that's a good point. This is when your fans need you the most.
This is what you get paid for.
Yep.
And I used to say, look, these are the days that are great for a good talk show host. When the real good talk show hosts figure out how to do their job in February, March, the slow months. It's easy to do a show like today. You want to show up for today. It's the days where you hear talk show hosts, like I said last week, UConn's women's team's getting better. You don't want any of that. You know what I'm talking about?
I think I do.
Okay.
All right. Right tackle, Bobby, I always mispronounce his last name. Bobby Massey, yes. 30 years old. He made $6 million this year. He's an unrestricted free agent at that right tackle position. He is clearly going to get offers of at least $8 million, $9 million a year, maybe even $10 million. Do you bring him back?
Yes.
I agree.
I like Bobby Massey. I hardly heard his name this year.
Yeah,
which is good.
That's a good sign, yes.
Which is a good sign. No, I like Bobby Massey, and he can play other positions. The thing I like about the Bears, they're fluid. I mean, Whitehair can play guard. He can play center. Kyle Long's moved around before. You can move Massey from, not that it's an easy thing, from right tackle to left tackle. So I'm good with him. That's my second guy I want to keep.
Okay.
It tells you I love the team. Okay, give me another guy.
All right, well, this guy, if you say you want to keep this guy, you're going to surprise the world. Wide receiver, former first-round draft pick, Kevin White.
He's got to go.
Got to go. Which
that's another guy that was that's another uniform wasting. He's got to go. There's too much talent on the wide receiver position with the Bears you can go out and get somebody else. They just wanted they felt obligated to the guy to give him as many chances as they can. They've blown some player personnel deals. They really have.
As every team does, right? Every team does. You can't hit 100,
No.
But that was a huge
But how
one.
long do you carry a guy? It's one thing to make a mistake. To elongate, it's even worse.
Well, let me digress here for a second because I don't want to forget this question. I had it in my notes and I overlooked it. Cody Parkey, at what point in the season, if would you have dropped him or at the very least brought in other kickers to interview? Would you have done it after he hit 4 uprights?
No, I wasn't going to drop him.
Oh, you were going to keep him all season?
I keep him till this year. He's gone now.
Okay.
For me, he'd be gone. I don't care if he's got a 3 more years of his contract. You're a $1 billion organization. You're going to risk 52 other guys because you got a field goal kicker that's better at hitting the uprights and going between them? I mean, he was the 3rd worst kicker in the league. That wasn't the plan.
No, it wasn't.
But just remember something. Ryan Pace still has some cleaning out to do. But here's what I'm going to say for people that say you can't get rid of Cody Parkey because of his guaranteed contract. Is Mike Glennon still on the team? No. You made a mistake. You got rid of him.
Yep.
So do the right thing. Bear fans, I tell you what, I mean this. I told everybody last week if he had a bad day, which he ended up doing, he'd beat Bartman. So, I mean, he's got his work cut out for him. I think if anybody needs a change of scenery, it's him.
Yep.
And I don't want to hear my kicker 2 minutes after. He did face the press. Somebody says he's gutty for facing the press. Where was he going to go? Can you imagine if he leaves?
Mm-hmm.
He'd never be back.
Yeah.
So he stood there. He took the heat. But, this crap, the sun will come out tomorrow. 5 minutes, 10 minutes after the game. I don't want to hear that shit. The only way I want to hear that is if I go to the play Annie by the little redheaded girl. That's the only time I want to hear that. The sun will come out tomorrow.
Okay.
Did you hear him say that yesterday?
Yes, I did.
The sun will come out tomorrow. I was laying in my bed in the middle of a dark room in the afternoon with the TV just staring at it like, I can't believe you just said that.
I didn't see the sun this morning, I'll tell you that. I think I slept till 1 p.m.
Man, I woke up. I said, if this is perfect. Cody Parkey said yesterday, the sun will come out tomorrow. We had some of our worst rains today out where I live.
All right, next on my list is 27-year-old slot cornerback Bryce Callahan, who made $2 million this year and had a really outstanding season. He is probably going to get a lot of money in free agency. What do you think? Should the Bears?
We can't keep everybody.
Yeah. Okay.
We can't. We're going to lose him, I think.
And
I think that will be. I think you can pick up corners in the draft. Mm-hmm. And cornerbacks, they have short shelf life. Remember Revis with the Jets?
Mm-hmm.
He was so good for 2 years, then he falls off the shelf. Sherman, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Now he's young, but I think you can go out and get another cornerback if you need him.
Yeah, he's going to command about $5 million according to.
Yeah, you can't pay everybody. I want to keep Mans. Yeah. I want to keep them all.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good I thought they were. I'm just disappointed in the playoffs, but you can't.
Right. You want to keep them all except for Kevin White, who you want to shove out the window.
I don't want to shove him out the window. Maybe send him to Mars. No, I'm kidding. No, Kevin got an opportunity and it didn't work out.
Right.
And I think it was a numbers thing at the end.
Right. Shane is on fire today. He wants to know about Chris Tabor, the special teams
It's like
coach.
going to school for the young man. It's like night school.
Yeah,
that's
right. I think Shane will volunteer the fact that he was.
I like his little thing. He showed Will Ferrell on Twitter, and he yelled "Dad," talking about me. He knows his spot.
Shane wants to know if you would fire or keep the special teams coach, Chris Tabor.
I'd keep him.
Really?
I'd keep him. I can't. Look, is it Chris Tabor's fault he was stuck with this guy? The only thing I don't like about Chris Tabor is every time you play Cup, we believe in him, we love him. I go, Aldo. I said this to you last week. I go, Aldo. Really, he wants to say we're stuck with him, and that's what they were. I can't blame. Now, I tell you this: I think Parkey should be gone, and I think the Bears got to look at a punter.
But let me, because Pat O'Donnell is a free agent this year. So
bye.
Okay, so you're not shoving him out the
I
window.
can kick 36 yards. Of course, I won't be able to walk again. I'll get that one good kickoff. What are you going to do?
That groin again, right, Mike?
Oh, the mysterious groin that come out of nowhere.
Oh, Jesus, I've lost my train of thought. Oh, Chris Tabor, though. Yes, he got stuck with Cody Parkey. But there were a couple of games this year. I mean, that New England Patriots game, that was a loss because they scored 2 teams on the special teams. I blame that on Chris Tabor. There was a play on there where the players didn't know the rules, and that's Chris Tabor's job to teach them.
First of all, there's a lot of players that don't know the rules.
Yeah, that's very true.
And the New England game was 2.5 months ago, and since that time, I thought they had played pretty well in special teams.
Yeah.
But did you?
Ah.
I mean, the New England game was, what, week 4?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay. Right after we're done talking this, we're going to talk about the Kennedy assassination with Aldo Gandia.
Harvey Oswald did really not act alone.
Week 4 is like light years away. But I understand what you're talking about. I wasn't happy about that game either. But what I looked at, if it would have continued to happen, and it didn't.
Shane is
It was just a bad game by the special teams. But you know what? You can't. If we're going to fire coaches for isolated bad games, then every coach should be fired. On the Bears.
You're very true.
You know?
Very true. But Shane, besides
you're like a hatchet man. You just want to see people lose their jobs. I can't believe you.
You know what I better not say this story.
The only people I know that lose jobs, lose jobs are people that are independent.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so Shane, besides saying thank you, Dad.
The damn Shane's taking over my show.
He is.
Anybody else in the bar room that has a question? Because I'm telling you right now, this Barstool kid's getting on my nerves. What's Shane got to know?
Shane's got a good point that Chris Tabor, the special teams coach, coached Cody Parkey in Cleveland, so he probably had some input in bringing him to Chicago. So I would get rid of both of them, in my opinion. Bye. Get out. Go.
I think if Parkey leaves, I think they keep him.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to get rid of any of the coaches. I thought the coaches did a good job this year. I really did. And if you're talking about isolated bad games like the New England game, you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. But I asked you about the game since then. Mm-hmm. Seems to be doing okay. I thought, hey, look, you want to fire Vic Fangio? Because guess what? No, guess what? When we needed you most, you crapped the bed the last drive. Well, he crapped the bed. His team crapped the bed. And these guys, they missed tackles. They had issues. I thought Khalil Mack had a decent game. I heard people criticizing Khalil Mack. He had like 5-6 solo tackles. He put heat on the quarterback. I don't know what, you're not going to get sacks when these guys are coming at you. They get rid of the ball. And let's talk about the Eagles. We haven't given them any credit yet. That was a team that I told everybody should not be getting 6.5 points.
Yeah, you're right.
I said, how are they giving the Super Bowl champions defending 6.5 points? That was the easiest bet I made all year. Easiest bet I made all year. Because I thought the Bears would win. And they would have. And exactly the way I mapped it out. And the only thing that had to be made was the kick. So, you know what? They're knocking on the door. They're knocking on the door. And a lot of good teams lost this week. The National Football League had a good weekend. There were some good games. And how about this? All the unders came in for the most part.
Yeah, that's right.
The points not being scored like I predicted. Mm-hmm. It's playoff time, folks. It's a whole new ball game.
Hey, we've got 5-10 minutes left. I want to get.
Is that it?
Yeah, I mean this hour.
You're losing. I can tell you're losing steam. You're like the fuel lights going on in the car. You know what I mean? And the dingman's going off. It says low on fuel. I can tell.
That's right. I am.
Hey, this was your bright idea.
I tell you what, the fans.
I love it.
The fans love Mike North on primetime. This is where you belong. They say.
I love it here.
This is cool. All right, so Cody Parkey is gone. There was one other player on free agency that I want to ask you about. So we talked about Pat O'Donnell. You said you can kick a 35-yarder.
I can kick a 35-yarder.
All right. Here's a guy that has gotten a lot of criticism here at Bears Barroom, but in 2018, this past year, he did a really good job, and that's Josh Bellamy, the wide receiver, special teams ace. Gone or you keep him?
Man,
that's a tough one, right?
Gone. I think there's a chance he'll be gone. Not because he wants to go, but, a lot of these guys are going to get offers.
Yes.
When you play in a successful team like the Bears, they want to start plucking you. And the Bears got a lot of young players. So I really think that he'll be gone. I think that the key, here's the thing that people don't know. I don't know if you know. Robbie Gould's a free agent.
Robbie Gould.
So what do you want to do? Do you bring him back? Because he'll give you – look, he was at the game yesterday with his kids. Mm-hmm. At the Eagle-Bear game.
Right.
He's a Chicago guy.
He's got season tickets. He's got season tickets. That's why.
Right. Okay. He should have been out there.
Yes, I agree.
Guy, just the best kicker in the stadium was sitting in row 12. I mean, I don't believe it. I mean, seriously. It's like the boxing. You know, they go, hey, there's Jerry Quarry getting ready to fight Ernie Shavers. And in the audience is Muhammad Ali. Well, I'd rather see Ali. Well, Robbie Gould's in the audience yesterday. Then I find out he's unrestricted free agent. He'll give you a hometown discount. You Cody, you either trade Parkey to somebody else that needs a kicker, and you bring in Robbie Gould. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they come back with Parkey probably, and it's going to be tough for him because he's got this hanging over his head for the rest of his life. The rest of his life.
I love the idea of the fight going on and the camera just being focused on Muhammad Ali sitting in row 3.
Right. And there is, and Shavers hits Quarry with the right hook. Quarry back with the shot to the body. And there's Muhammad Ali eating some popcorn.
All right.
You know?
So here's this question for you. If you think they should drop Cody Parkey and sign Robbie Gould, who will only come back for $5 million, that means you'll be paying $10 million for a kicker.
But you don't know if he'd be coming back for $5 million. You don't know that, right?
Well, I mean, as one of the top kickers in the league, that's about the average salary.
This way. There's no chance we're going to get him probably because there's going to be more than one team bidding on him.
Yeah, but that's the problem. With
the guy's missed 3 kicks in like 70 in the last 3 years or something.
Yeah, you think he wouldn't want to finish his career here in Chicago? I think he would.
Oh, he loves Chicago. He's
yes.
a season ticket holder. Put the season ticket holder on the team.
Right.
Then he can see the games for free.
That's right.
I mean, my God, Cody Parkey. If Robbie Gould's out there and he says, "I just want to play for the Bears and I'll play for this much," fine. But you're right. There's going to be a lot of people. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still trying to digest a very hard loss for this football team. And for me, look, I haven't screamed for the Bears in 10 years. When they got that first interception as Philadelphia was driving, I mean, I went, oh! I hadn't done that in 10 years.
That is awesome.
I swear to God, I hadn't done it in 10 years. I was so jacked for that game, and I thought we were in. And I thought we took the pedal off the gas. I thought we should have rushed more than 4 guys. I heard Rex Ryan say today, you better rush more than 4 guys and not make Nick Foles comfortable. Vic Fangio made Nick Foles comfortable the last drive.
Yeah. I think personally.
And by the way, one of his offers was pulled off the table today.
Oh, really?
And like I said, Vic Fangio might be better off staying there.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that on Friday's show.
And now he's only got 1 offer now. One was just pulled off the table. I forget which one it was. I can't remember. It was Miami. One of them was pulled off the table today. That was fast.
Well, and what I read, one of the Chicago beat writers said that Denver was staying in town. They had like a morning meeting with him, and they were staying in town to have another meeting with him in the evening. So that might mean that they want to conduct the second interview with him in one day and move quickly. So that'll be interesting. You know,
I hope if he gets it, good for him.
Yes,
all I'm saying is
Miami. It was Miami.
There's only one team's interested in him. Now, if he gets that job, good for him. You know, anything after Vance Joseph is good. It was horrendous for Denver. I thought he was a horrible decision by Elway. So Elway's got to get this right. We'll see what happens. I hope to God he's here next year because I think there's some. It would be like Buddy Ryan leaving in '84.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's okay for Buddy Ryan to leave after the Super Bowl, although I didn't want him to leave. But Vic Fangio is this close to a Super Bowl. I'm saying
you're so right.
You got some unfinished business, and it would be like Buddy Ryan leaving in '84. Win the damn thing, then see how many offers you get.
You know what?
But see, he's 50 years old. But you know what? No, I've never heard him bandied about as a potential head coach. But it's the way that the Bears played this year and the way his defense performed. But next year, They may get 10 turnovers all year. So you know what? Maybe he's got to think about that too. Next year, this was a magical year for that defense. Is it going to happen 2 years in a row?
Exactly. That's why I'm so disappointed about the loss, because you just never know what's going to happen next year. If they can capture that magic that they had, and it was because of the damn kicker that we lost.
Listen, I heard today this guy, the Packers, signed this LaFleur as their head coach.
Oh, really? Yeah, I was going to look into that. LaFleur, huh?
Yeah, they signed this guy LaFleur,
hockey player?
right?
Does he play
and
hockey?
And I heard this guy, who's the guy with the big ears on ESPN? Orlovsky?
Yes.
Yeah.
The quarterback, right, the former quarterback.
Yeah. I get him and Andrew Siciliano on a runway. I just jump on their backs. I won't need to take a flight. Believe me. Orlovsky said, I played for him twice. And there's no doubt he's a brain, he's this, he's that. And I'm going to myself, I heard Steve Young say that about Tressman. I heard about 10 people say that about Ken Wisenhunt. He'll be unbelievable. He'll be great. I hear this crap all the time about these offensive coordinators that they're going to knock them dead and all this crap, and half of them are fired within 3 years.
I totally agree with that.
I'll tell you what, how many hours we doing?
Well, you want to go to midnight?
Who's coming out? I'll go. I'll run right into who's on after us.
Draft Dr. Phil. Run right into bed. We won't leave the air.
Is he doing now? Is he doing 9 o'clock?
He's doing 9 p.m. in an hour. He'll be here in an hour.
Well, you got to get your rest time, no doubt.
Oh well, no.
Are you producing that show?
No,
too?
Joe Mandel produces that. The great Joe Mandel. Cool. Yeah, our fantasy football goon. He is on top of that. I got out of that.
What a product they have for the fans. Bears Barroom with all the great people here. It's just been so much fun, man.
So what do you think about doing Monday nights every night? It'll be a double whammy of the greatest sports talk personality in America, Mike North, followed by the...
Aldo, all you have to do, I'm not that anymore because, there's so much talent out there. Excuse me, I just got hit with some champagne. Look, anytime you want me. I was excited about going on. I love talking football, baseball. We're going to talk baseball. We're going to talk gambling lines. Mm-hmm. We're going to bet NBA. We're going to have all sorts of stuff. This is good for everybody.
And Mike, I want to talk movies. I want to talk movies with you too, because you're no longer doing your Mike North at the movies show, but you can find Mike's opinion on classic movies and any recent movie that he has seen. We're going to talk about it here. We're going to talk about his movie too. What's the latest?
By the way, I'm hearing this. I kept hearing this crap. A Star Is Born was so great.
Yeah, did you see it?
I keep hearing. Then it started to wane a little bit. And then I hear the Golden Globe. Lady Gaga didn't even win.
She won for best song.
Didn't even
win. Not best actress, but I think best song.
But here's another thing. I love how they say Brad Cooper wrote A Star Is Born. Wait a minute. There's been 3 other ones. He changes the names. He changes the venue. You know what I'm going to write? Godfather 4. I'm just going to have different names. What the hell's going on? Brad Cooper, listen, what's the difference? They're saying that somebody plagiarized Marvin Gaye's Let's Get It On, right? Because it sounds like it.
Pharrell, right.
What the hell is writing A Star Is Born for the 4th time? If that isn't plagiarism, nothing is. Right?
That is so true.
I got this idea. What? It's about a girl that's a real good singer and a guy who's a star. Well, he was a movie star, but now I'm going to make myself a rock star, sort of like Chris Christopherson, a country star. What do you think? It's original. No, it's not. It's not original. This is the 4th Star Is Born. And Bohemian Rhapsody, the Queen movie, kicked its ass.
Oh, did you see that movie, Bohemian Rhapsody?
No, but from people I talked to today,
okay.
I talked to 3 people that have seen it, both movies. Star Is Born's not as good.
Oh, interesting. I got to see both movies. I haven't seen a movie since, the August, since before the season started.
Casino was the last movie I saw in the movie theater. Some kid was kicking the back of my seat. I almost got in a fight in the movie theater.
You almost went Joe Pesci out of it?
It's the Charlie M scene. And some kid's kicking my seat, and I told him to stop, and he kept kicking it. That's not the scene to get me pissed off on. His head was in a vice.
You almost went Joe Pesci on him, huh?
Oh my God, you know what? I can't wait for the movies to come out. What's great is you go see a movie at the Pickwick Theater in Park Ridge.
Yes.
A week after it came out. That never used to happen.
Yeah.
Movies would be out for 4 months.
Yes, how
You
true?
know?
How true is
Before
that?
they even came to the neighborhood. Godfather was downtown for like 6 months.
Yep. That's why they only make these big movies now that are, superhero movies and stuff, because that's the only thing people want to see for weeks.
Well, you know something, Marvel. They're tagged in with Disney.
Mm-hmm.
When you're with the studio like that, I mean, listen. I saw the one thing I do like about the movie I'm going to be doing is I'm going to have a lot of control. I'm writing the script with somebody. The director's a great guy. But you want a studio behind you. And, boy, Disney's the studio.
Yeah.
Disney's taken Marvel, and they've done a good job with it. And I got to give them credit. If you got a studio behind you like Disney, they did Invincible, the Vince Papale story.
Mm-hmm.
It just did a great job with it.
Great
and
movie.
it's pretty good. Most of their movies are pretty decent. Disney's just a great company.
Yes, they are. That Vince Papale movie, for those of you who don't know, it was the movie of that special teams player with the...
Right.
Why are we even talking about the Philadelphia Eagles movie?
Oh, yeah, that's wrong.
No,
Yeah, he
not
was
tonight.
popping champagne. I know Vince. I ate dinner with Vince at the National Italian Hall of Fame. It was cool.
Oh,
Back
cool.
about 10 years ago. He was cool. Him and his wife were great. Me and B. Listen to this table. I sat at a table with Vince Papale and his wife on one side, with me and BB in the middle, and Craig Biggio from the Astros on his side, and his wife on the other side.
Oh, how cool is
And
that?
they were both talking past me going, who is this guy?
All right, Mike,
Let's go, baby!
before I let you go, any
Yes, sir.
quick thoughts? We're going to talk about this extensively on Friday, these playoff games, but for those gamblers out there who want to jump early on the action going on, Colts at Chiefs, Cowboys at Rams on Saturday, and then on Sunday, Chargers at Patriots, Eagles at Saints. Anything that you want to share with your fans who are gamblers about what the line is on Monday, or whether they should wait, or any betting information that you have for our followers?
Here's what I'm going to say. Not now. Tomorrow, Friday's the day. I'll have everything set like I have all year. 12 above 500. I had another decent, a very good day. I had my top pick with Philadelphia. I took the Cowboys. It was which was a good pick also. I think the big surprise is San Diego. But now they're going to be making another long trip, Aldo. They made a West Coast trip. Now they got to make another long trip.
Right.
But I think they're going to stay out there in California.
No,
to be honest
it's
with you.
Chargers at Patriots on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Now they just played who yesterday? Who did they play? The
That
Chargers?
was at Baltimore. They
Okay, so they're east.
Right.
They may not come home.
yeah.
They might just stay out there for a week.
That might
I
be-
can't believe they're going to fly back to L.A. and then come back out east again.
That would be weird, right?
So I think they're going to stay where they're at, which is good. Keep an eye on the Chargers because finally I want to bet with Phillip Rivers. That guy's cut my throat so many times. He's sort of like Kansas basketball. He gets to a certain point then loses. This right now, he looked pretty good, and it seems like the new passing rules have helped him as much as any quarterback in football. God, is this information? I mean, do you think they tape it? Well, they just keep replaying it.
You know
I
what?
understand.
That's why.
How's the attendance in the chat room tonight?
You know what? We've got a nice crowd. People want us to stay on longer, but I have to go
we're
eat
going
dinner.
opposite the national championship game.
And what's the latest there? The score? I can't see the score, but it looks like Bama statistically is
They took the lead 16-14.
Wow.
Eventually, they'll wear you out.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's going to be. I learned my lesson with Alabama. I think the SEC is a horde conference, except for one thing. They have Alabama. If they didn't have Alabama, they'd be Conference USA, period.
Yeah, I agree with you. Mike, I think you and I might have the same opinion about college football. I watch it primarily to scout players who are coming to the NFL. I have no interest at all. Outside of Notre Dame, I'd like to see them win, but really, who cares? I have no interest in the game because the way things are set up is just so distorted. I mean, Alabama should win every year, right?
Well, the thing is, Alabama plays in an easy conference. Alabama is a powerhouse. Alabama can lose a game and still get into the playoffs, which I don't like. But they built that reputation. They're probably going to win again tonight. Everybody talks about Golden State. Who wants to see Golden State again? Alabama, Clemson 3 years in a row? Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like, it's like revisiting the scene of your last car accident. I don't want to see it again.
I hear you. I hear you. And the thing is that you've got Clemson and Alabama playing right now. Those two schools have
they keep playing every year. That's what you see.
Right. They have training facilities that are better than the Bears and most other NFL teams.
Yeah, I think the deal with college is they're going to stay with the 4 teams. They have a 12-year contract. They're not changing it. And who needs it? Why are you going to change it? You want 8 teams to they didn't even have 4 good teams. I mean, Notre Dame ended up getting spanked. So, in other words, there's 2 good teams in college football. Out of all the kids in this country, what happened to the kids that wanted to go to another school and knock the champion off? These kids are front runners. They want to go, and you know what Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney tell you? You play for me, you're going to the NFL. It's just too tough to recruit against them.
Yep. I totally hear you. And it just makes it so unenjoyable to me. I mean, I still enjoy watching some of the games like this. I'll sit down and watch this game. It'll probably be good theater. But in terms of appreciation for it as a sport, a competitive sport, it's just too one-sided and too much crazy. It's almost
too much politics.
Yes.
I mean, and you know what? The college basketball was ruined because they can leave early.
Yeah.
It's not the same game. I mean, look, the Heisman Trophy winner. Right?
Yes. Who was it this year? I don't even know.
Nobody cared.
I don't know.
Kyle Murray. Nobody even knows. When we were kids, whether it was O.J. Simpson or Roger Staubach,
right.
You knew these guys were monsters. You knew them for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it was, same with basketball. Kyle Murray.
I think he's
going to. I mean, you want to talk about an award? Look, there's 2 or 3 awards that have lost steam. Okay?
Uh-huh.
For sure, the Time Man of the Year or Woman of the Year award. Nobody cares.
Nobody.
I mean, they put it on the cover and that's gone in 2 days.
Yep.
The Heisman Trophy is one of them, too.
Yep, I totally agree.
Would it bother you if you didn't know who the Heisman Trophy winner was?
I didn't know until you just mentioned it.
It used to be the number 1 big-time award, one of the top awards in all sports.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just they gave it to that kid from the Big 12. I mean, nobody even knew who the kid was.
Isn't he going to go play baseball? I don't think he's got an NFL
He's
career.
He's going to go play for baseball. He signed a big deal with Oakland.
Jeez, come on.
Don't try to throw me your curve. Get it? With the baseball curve?
That's
you
good.
Like that?
That's good.
Yeah.
I can't wait to read that Mike North script that you're writing.
All right, buddy.
Listen, any last word for your fans as I roll our finale music here in the background?
Yeah, I think that next year we got to look forward to a lot of things. We're going to be the Bears are going to be great. I think they're going to win the division again. I'm looking forward to that. I think they're going to have a different schedule. I'm also looking forward to doing this show with Eldo a couple times a week. It was good to do the show tonight. I got we got the Bears. There was plenty to talk about. I'll be interested in watching what the player personnel decisions are during the offseason.
Yeah, we're going to cover that and a lot more on these expanded Mike North Advantage shows. We're going to talk not only football, but we'll also talk about the other sports. We'll talk about movies. We'll talk about what's happening in popular culture. We'll get Mike's take on everything that you want to know about. And remember, if you're not listening live on Mixlr.com, you can always listen to the show at BearsBarroom.com or subscribe on any one of our podcast delivery services. They're very popular: iTunes, Podbean, Google, Stitcher, all those podcast delivery services. We have the show there ready for download on any of your devices. Mike North, say good night to all your friends.
Go on, everybody!
There you go.